What up, though?
What up, though?
And welcome to the Bass for the Culture podcast. We are your hosts, Janine Wilson.
And Gene Wilson the Fourth.
Welcome back to the show.
What up?
As always, we want to start by saying thank you. Thank you so much for listening to us. And wherever you're listening to us right now, please take a moment to like, rate, subscribe, share, review, all that good stuff.
Yes.
And
pass it on everything. Put it on TikTok. Put it on Facebook, Instagram.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
yeah, that's their neighbors.
We got speed racers on our block.
Somebody.
Yeah, so do all that good stuff, and we thank you in advance.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Let's get right into it. What you been listening to?
Well, currently, I swear every episode is Greg Sparrow, but that's what I've been listening to. Cocoa Dust. The new
I
one.
say Cocoa Dust.
Cocoa Dust. Well, just to get away, just so I wouldn't say Greg Sparrow, I've been listening to Layman's Brothers. I never heard of them before. Some song I came across called Follow Into the Wild. It's a nice song. I like it.
You said Layman's Brothers?
Like Lehamans.
Oh, okay.
Brothers.
Okay.
I don't know much about them. Just came across the song. I like it. So I've been listening to that too. And what you been listening to?
I've been listening to, and I go through these phases. Mm-hmm. I've been listening to Isaac Hayes.
Oh, what?
Yes, like as a kid, I was fascinated with Isaac Hayes, like the theme from Shaft. But like for me, it's like The Look of Love.
Okay.
So the original song was from what's that man named James Bond soundtrack? Burt Bacharach, he composed it. Dusty Springfield, she sang it. Yeah. And it was like a standard from the 60s, but the way that Isaac Hayes flipped that thing, the whole intro and everything, and just put so much soul into that song. It's classic. Like, you never get enough of it.
That's funny because I always joke with you about how you listen to older songs. I'm older and you listen to older songs than I do.
I live in the 70s. Like, oh my gosh, the music was just music then. You know what I'm saying? It was a great time.
Definitely.
We had instruments and people singing, no auto-tune. Like, it was
live people playing these instruments. Yes,
it was a great time for music.
Yes, it was.
So that's what I've really been into lately.
Okay. All right. Well, for Give It a Listen, I got two songs for Give It a Listen. It's a Portrait of Tracy, use of Dave.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Rocco
Palladino's on bass.
They did a great version of that.
Yep.
Give That a Listen. And Waiting in Vain by Jordan Ward. He did a good version of that too. And then also I have, because of the bass, I came across this one, Vincent Garcia.
Oh my gosh, that man is crazy.
If he's not an alien, he was abducted by an alien. But listen to this cut called Right Now. Listen to it right now. Listen to Right Now. The song just listen to it.
He's like the Busta Rhymes of bass, the Twister of bass. Like,
you are absolutely correct.
Bone Thugs and Harmony of bass. Like any speed rapper I could think of. Like, that's him on bass.
You're absolutely. I couldn't get the name out. But you spoke my thoughts. You spoke my thoughts. But yeah, that's what I have for that. So for that, that's it. That's all I got so far.
Man, listening to him, it'd be like, I don't even know what I'm doing with this instrument. Like, it's ridiculous.
Look, when I heard the song, I was like, okay, he's amazing me. And then the song continued, and I said, oh, okay, he's not going to stop. Oh, he's still got more in this. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm done playing bass.
He's definitely from another planet, for real.
Yeah, but that's what I got. So check that out.
And was that because of the bass?
That was because of the bass. So right now, because of the bass, and then the other two songs were just Give It a Listen, Portrait of Tracy and Waiting in Vain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love use of days around here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We definitely have some regulars. They show up every episode. So
yeah. Greg and being one of them.
Yeah.
All right. So on this week's episode, I'm kind of excited about that. We got a double header for you guys.
Yeah.
So our first bassist that we're going to get into is going to be Mr. Nate Phillips on bass.
On bass.
All right. So If you don't know the name, because you know how like there's so many bass players, especially from like the 70s, who are part of these amazing bands, and you really, you know, the bass player didn't really get no shine.
He's
you know,
one of
them names that rang out when you spoke of these bands. But we about to get into who Nate Phillips is.
Okay.
All right. So Nathaniel Phillips, he was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. Is it Oregon or Oregon? People from there, how do you say it?
Oregon.
But see, people say Oregon. And then we be like Oregon. I don't think that's right. I think it's Oregon.
It's Oregon.
But he from up there in the Northwest, in Portland. He is one of 12 children, the youngest of 9 boys. Wow. 12 children. And then out of the 12 children, 9 were boys.
Yikes.
I think that's a little better than having 9 girls. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So Nate said that he always knew that he liked music. He was always drawn to it. Like it was kind of always in him. And his family, they didn't have much money, you know, as was the story of many black families back, you know, back in them days. So he would go out after school. He had an after school job, but the after school job was picking berries and beans, like in the fields.
Picking berries and beans.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I snap beans, but I ain't never picked no
right,
berries.
we ain't never had to pick.
All right.
So he saved enough money from his little after school job to buy a transistor radio.
Okay.
And so he could listen to, you know, on the transistor, you not getting nothing but AM stations. So he took what he could off of the, you know, the little AM stations. But he was just so drawn to music. And most of his family, including his mom, they were all singers.
Okay.
They sang in church, of course, because that's where it always starts. But he like, okay, I don't want to sing. I want to go another route. So he was like, I want to play an instrument. So him and his friends, like they had a little band. And they made their instruments out of like cardboard boxes and strings and whatever else they could find around the house.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, it made me think of you in your band and how y'all used to make y'all own instruments. I think like most kids did that, you know, before you got your hands on a real instrument. Yeah. You know, I had my share of cardboard keyboards and whatnot. Yeah. So they had their little band, and so they was like, okay, they got around 9. 10 and everybody started getting real instruments. Okay. So when he was 9, he asked his parents for a guitar for Christmas, and so they got him a 6-string lead guitar. So you know, we got real instruments. We cooking now, you know. So his friends that he hung out with, you know, they're getting their instruments, but everybody had a guitar. Okay. Everybody, it was like 3 or 4 guitars and drums. I mean, you can't have a whole band full of guitars and drums.
Because out of all them guitar players, somebody playing the bass on the guitar.
Basically, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you got to have a bass.
Got to. So he decided, okay, I'm going to switch and I'm going to play bass.
All right.
So he got
Thank you, Nate.
Right. He got a bass guitar when he was 10.
Okay.
But he didn't really start taking it seriously till around 12. All right. I mean, in the big scheme of things, we're still talking, he's a kid, you know. So he had no formal training on bass. He didn't take any lessons because, you know, money is scarce. You growing up in the hood. I don't know what hoods they had in Portland, but I'm sure there was a hood in Portland. But
it's a hood everywhere.
It's a hood everywhere. And he was a student of the neighborhood. Okay. That's what he said. He got his school, like his chops from the School of Hard Knocks. So he was like, you know, playing with musicians that were better than him, that were older than him. And he was like, it was kind of rough. He's like, you know, he got yelled at a lot. They would be hard on him if he played a wrong note or if he messed up, made a mistake. But he was like, that experience made him the bass player that he is. Okay. So around 12, him and his friends, they formed a band called The Franchise.
That sounds like a game.
Right.
Franchise. Sound like a West Side game.
Not West Side. So it was Nate Phillips, of course, Marlon McClain on guitar, Bruce Carter on drums. So one of the parents, one of them, they rented out a church for them to hold their first little show in, you know, little concert. So they played, you know, some songs by Sly Stone, Kool and the Gang. And he was like, yeah, we really didn't sound that great. He was like, but, you know, we got up there and we did it. And we kept at it. We kept trying. So pretty soon, these little kids started playing all over town.
Well, now, who's singing? They just playing instruments? They just playing, you know?
I believe at that point, they just had instruments. There was a vocalist that came later.
Okay.
But at that time, there was another band in Portland. And so this band, they were called the Soul Masters. Okay. And so that band was getting a little buzz, around town. And in this band, it was Michael Hepburn and Donald Hepburn, brothers. They both played keys. Dennis Springer on sax, Don Brewster on trombone and guitar, Bruce Smith on percussion, and then Sherman Davis on vocals.
Okay.
But in this band, also, guess who played keys in this band?
Who?
Blew me away. Brooke Shields, the actress, Brooke Shields. She was around 14 at this time. No joke.
What?
I had to fact check this because I was like, no way.
Brooke Shields?
Brooke Shields. Yes. So what happened was
Brooke Shields was in the band.
Yes, she was in this band.
Wow. Okay. All right,
so I'm gonna get back to that. But so the two bands, the franchise and the Soul Masters, they ended up playing on the same show at a Portland jazz club. I guess it was like a big jazz club in Portland called the Upstairs Lounge. Okay. They were on the same bill. And then Michael Hepburn, he was really impressed with the franchise. He was like, I want this type of sound for our band. Okay. Now, mind you, these are mostly kids. You know what I'm saying? Right. So yeah, he's like, I kind of want this band for my sound. This sound for my band. So they ended up becoming cool, and they formed one band together. Okay. And of course, that band ended up being Pleasure. Ah. So that's how we got. Sweet. Okay. That's how we got Pleasure. Okay. And so that, if you didn't know,
now, so the other band didn't have a bass player.
At this, it did. There was no bass player listed.
So it was just him playing bass for his band. Then the other band collabed. So okay, I'll work out.
So yeah. They formed Pleasure. So if you didn't know, Nate Phillips was the bass player for Pleasure.
And Brooke Shields was the keyboard
player. So Brooke Shields, she was taking piano lessons. And they were like, okay, for some whatever reason, like, hey, go and play with this band. And it was just a weird thing.
So you're practicing your piano lessons, like get your experience, your internship playing with this band.
Right. So she also played with Pleasure for a time, a short amount of time. That's but crazy. Still. She was in the band. Crazy.
She credited as a musician
for
Pleasure.
Yes, Brooke Shields. And that blew me away. Crazy. Like, that was just the weirdest thing I've ever. I was like, what? And so, Fender, can you have a seat, please, buddy? You're doing a lot. Fender always want to be a part of the show. And for those that are new here, Fender is our old English bulldog.
If we push the right button, we can get him to sing.
Yeah, he's a vocalist. All right, but anyway. So at this time, my Nate, he was only like 15. Okay. So I thought this was kind of cool because they was, two bands. They were forming a band together. Mm-hmm. It's like, we not gonna take y'all name, y'all not gonna take our name, so we need to come up with a name, for both of us as one unit. Made up a name And so what happened was Michael Hepburn, he was watching TV one day, and it was an ad that came on for a whiskey commercial. Mm-hmm. And the tagline for the whiskey commercial, the whiskey was described as a rare pleasure. And he was like, man, that's really all people want from music and entertainment is pleasure. So he was like, that's gonna be the name of the band. But they voted on it and it stuck.
All right, bet.
So around the time that Nate was 16, like a lot of stuff happened for him so early. The band, they gave their demo tape to Wayne Henderson of the Crusaders. Mm. So he was signed to Fantasy Records at that time. So they gave him the tape. He liked what he heard. At first, he's kind of like, who are these little kids, He liked what he heard. So he shot their demo around. And so he's like, all right, y'all got a chance to go out to Hollywood and perform at Whiskey A Go-Go. And I was like, that's a huge historic nightclub in LA. A lot of people have been discovered there, Okay. So they were nervous and they thought that they did a terrible job. Like, they were so discouraged. They thought it was terrible. But the president of Fantasy Records liked them and they got a deal.
Wow.
Teenagers.
Crazy.
So over the next 4 years, Wayne Henderson was their producer. He produced their first 4 albums.
Okay. I didn't even know they had that many albums.
Oh, they got more than that. Wow. So he produced their first 4 albums. It was Dust Yourself Off, Accept No Substitutes, Joyous, and Get to the Feeling. Mm. And those are the 4 albums that most people that know Pleasure, they know those 4 albums. So the thing about Pleasure, we just gonna talk about Glide a little bit because it's been said that if you cannot play Glide, you are not a real bass player.
I've learned it, but that was before I even knew that was a thing of what you just said. And I learned it. I didn't know who Nate Phillips was. It was just an old song I heard, and I was like, man, this would be cool to learn.
I mean, but it's super funky, you know. And but a lot of them songs, let's be real, around that time they sounded exactly alike.
Yeah.
Because Glide sounds like Slide by Slaves. You know what I'm saying? Like all of them bass lines were kind of, you know, the same like funk bass lines. But Nate Phillips, man, he killed that.
Well, when you learn this song, it's crazy because when you learn this song and play it, you will understand that it's like really super constructed.
Yeah.
It's like put together, like it's not just well, for me it wasn't. For me it wasn't just learning just no repeated bass line slap over no groove.
It's not that. Yeah, it's not that. Yeah. So like if you go on YouTube, you see 1,000,005 covers of Glide. So, you know, people proving that, hey, you know, I can play the song. But yeah. So Pleasure, I put Pleasure up there as one of them top 70s bands that, you know, put out solid music, and a lot of it really was because of the groove. It was because of the bass. Yeah. And all of that was Nate Phillips.
That's crazy.
So they was with Wayne for like 4 years.
Okay.
After that, Wayne kind of fell off from them, and then the band broke up in '82. You know, they came back together later, like they're still together now, but the
I didn't
main,
even know they were still together.
Yeah, they did like a rebirth of Pleasure.
I wonder, I have to listen to their songs to really listen to how many songs that I knew that I didn't know was theirs.
Probably a lot, and a lot of their songs have been sampled over the years, you know what I'm saying? And to me that kind of shows the longevity, the quality
classic
of the music that was that they were putting out back then, because people still keep wanting to use it, you know. And but that's another thing. You said I love 70s music. That's another reason why, is because it was so many bands, and it was like 17, 20 piece, 30 piece.
Yes, I was just about to say, like when we say 70s band, like, and especially, well, not even. Well, only jazz pretty much back in the 70s had small bands, but like other than that,
because it was like the quartet type of trios.
Other than that, like it was always like when it came to like the funk bands and the R&B bands, like it was always 13
or more
full horns.
Yeah,
you know, 2 guitar players,
strings.
All right, let's see. You had a bass player. You had 2 guitar players. You had
sometimes
vocalist,
3.
Sometimes 3 vocalists. You had what? How many backgrounds at least?
At least 3.
3 backgrounds. So we're at 8 right now.
Percussion,
drummer. How many keyboard players?
Maybe 3.
2 keyboard players and somebody on a piano.
Yeah, organ.
That's 10.
We got an organ.
Now we got an organ player, 11.
What else we got?
Horns.
We got our horns.
And that's what 5? What, saxophone, trumpet, trombone, we'll say 5-piece horn.
Yeah.
That's 16 people right
And then
there.
sometimes you might even have, you know, your woodwinds. You got to count your woodwinds. You got a sax.
Oh, man.
You got a flute. Might even have a bassoon in there.
Man.
And then, like, I mean, that's what made the music so timeless, man.
Yeah.
And it was so funky. And then you got about 12 hype men. You know what I'm saying? You got the dancers. It was just a full-on production. And that's why I hate, like, nowadays, we pay all this money to go to concerts.
People pay all this money to see one person on stage in one place.
And I'll be like, put me in a time machine like Money Long and take me back. Like,
no, what we need is a couple billionaires to invest in us and let us put together some great music for this world.
Man, the shows we would come up with.
Man. The musicians.
Somebody do that.
Look, the musicians we will put together.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right, where we at?
The curated sets we would do. Man, somebody invest in us. Come on. Anyway.
Yeah.
You know, we are church kids. We'll take up an offering. I'm about to start a Patreon.
There we go.
Sure. But anyway, so Nate, you know, he became the go-to, you know. He became a go-to. His name was ringing out. And so he became a session player. Yeah. And his credits are so long. But one thing I did want to point out that he was actually one of the first to record on a rap album.
Oh, yeah?
One of the first. And that's because he was on the Sugar Hill's Gang first album. That's Sugar Hill's Gang. Sugar Hill Gang. Not on Rapper's Delight, but he played on Kicking It Live from 9 to 5.
Okay.
I think that was the name of the song. But that's back then, you know. The goal was to have, you know, live instruments recorded on rap albums, but then, you know, sampling and all that stuff started taking over. But he also recorded on Ronnie Law's Friends and Strangers. I love that song.
Okay.
Love it.
I ain't know that.
Das Band, Art Porter, George Clinton, Herb Albert, George Duke, all the Georges, Jeffrey Osborne. You know I love me some Jeffrey. He about to be at the soundboard. I want to see Jeffrey. Cause man, don't get me started on Jeffrey Osborne. Roy Ayers, Stevie Wonder, Jeff Lorber, and then even most recently, he was credited on Killer Mike's album.
Oh, for real?
Yep, the newest one, Michael.
The newest one. Yeah.
I was like, come on in.
And then we just seen that clip with our dude Dyson and Marcus Miller and him playing with Nate Phillips.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And he's definitely a bass player's bass player because you see a lot of bass players always name drop, you know, Nate Phillips, and that's not a name that really rings out though in the world of bass. You say Nate Phillips, people might like, who's that? You know,
and I'm a bass player. Learned the song, didn't even know it was him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I heard that song all my life. And it's one of those songs I knew, just didn't know who the bass player was.
Yep. And I mean, in the big scheme of things, in the landscape of, you know, like I was saying, in 70s music, 80s music, it's a gang of bass players that you've listened to them for so long. And don't know the names.
Yep. And that's going to come up again.
Yeah. Yep. It was funny. Somebody was like, you know, I learned a lot from y'all podcast. I ain't going to say who, but somebody thought that, you know how we did Silly by Denise Williams for a producer seat? Somebody hit me up and was like, all these years, I thought Silly was by Minnie Riperton.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I'm like.
I mean, I guess if you don't do no research, I guess it could be, I don't know.
But
maybe not.
I'm just so into music, so into the history, so into everything that I'll be like, how people just don't be knowing stuff. I'm sorry.
Vocally.
Yeah. But I got to realize not everybody, you know, is a credit nerd, you know, or even care, you know what I'm saying? But I'm glad that we're able to educate the people.
That's what we do.
Love it. All right. So we're going to talk about his gear a little bit. So currently he's endorsed by Bass Mods because who isn't? Everybody play Bass Mod right now.
Bass for the mod. Bass for the culture when you get, you know, bass for the mod, bass for the culture.
Bass for the mod. Anyway, so he's also endorsed by Wayne Jones Audio, but for his cabs and his gear. But the earlier like the pleasure songs were recorded with the Fender Jazz and the Stingray, of course, you know.
Okay.
So, and the thing is, like, it was so hard to find information on Nate Phillips, like, because he's not well documented. And some of the best bass players are just, it's not enough. Their stories aren't being told.
And I hear you all the time searching for some of these videos, and you said, well, the bass player be on the bass solo, and they be showing the camera on somebody else.
Like, bass players don't get no love. Like,
y'all, she be trying to pull up some good videos for y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Bass players be like the redheaded stepchildren of the music family. And that's why, like, when I talk to different bass players and I'm interested in their stories, sometimes they're kind of like, oh, you care about what, you know, you care about my story? Like, yes, like, man, our bass player stories need to be told, and that's what we're doing here on Bass for the Culture. All right, so that is our first bassist, Mr. Nate Phillips on bass. And that was just, you know, a little nugget of his history and his life and his career. And if we get the chance, we can get more of his story from Mr. Nate Phillips if he wants to come on Bass for the Culture
and kick it with us.
We would love to have you.
Bring that bass mod.
All right. So I'm also excited to talk about our next.
And this is another name that.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Y'all better know. Real bass players know.
Real bass players know this name. They know this name.
Y'all ready?
And it's none other than Mr. Jerry Jemmott.
What y'all know.
What y'all know about that? All right, so Mr. Jerry Jemmott, he was born March 22nd, 1946 in the Bronx, New York.
Okay.
He is a true New Yorker. Like,
yeah.
So Jerry, he got started in entertainment at a very young age, but not on bass.
Now, I don't know nothing about him besides that video I seen with him playing with
Jocko. Okay, we gonna get to that.
All right.
So Jerry started out in entertainment at 5 years old. He performed at Carnegie Hall at 5 years old, but he was not playing bass.
Magician.
First off, I'm just like, I'm so laughing that was the first thought, magician. I ain't never seen no magician at Carnegie Hall. He was tap dancing.
Oh, wow. 5 years old.
5 years old. He was a trained tap dancer.
Wow.
And I guess because he was born in the 40s, you know, back then we was doing a lot of shucking and jiving. We was tap dancing and doing all, you know, that stuff. And especially in New York, because there's plenty of opportunity to entertain.
Mm-hmm.
So
we had some great tap dancers to look up to.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah.
So I could see that being an influence.
Yeah, so he was a tap dancer, and he just knew that he wanted to be a performer. Like, it was no doubt about it. So he heard Paul Chambers at 10 years old, and he was like, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do.
All right. At
10 years old, this little boy felt like he didn't have a purpose in life. But when he heard Paul Chambers play the upright bass, he was like, this is it. This is what I'm about to do with my life.
Okay.
And I was like, man, to know that at 10, that's wild.
Wow.
So he it's like, he told his mom, he was like, hey, I want to do this. I want to play bass. And so his mom was like, okay, cool. I'll support it, but you got to take lessons. Mm-hmm. So he didn't like the lessons. He thought it was boring. He thought he could just get up there and play and just be great at it. And, you know, he didn't like doing the practice time, none of that. But, you know, it taught him how to read music. Right. It taught him everything that he needed to know. And so he got that firm foundation, you know, to become the Jerry Jemmott that we know.
Right. That's what's up.
So he took lessons for about a year. And then he was like, okay, I kind of got it. And so he's playing around town a little bit, and he was playing at the YMCA. I don't know, you know, back then it was just people sitting around playing instruments and having shows at the YMCA. I don't know how that quite worked, but some other guys heard him playing, and they wanted him to be a part of the band. And he was 12 at this time, and he said that these guys were like 40 and 50 and 60. Like, they were older guys, and he was like, y'all want me to play with you, like in your band? So he was kind of hesitant, but he started playing with them. And so from there, he started getting a lot of gigs around town, because everybody like, hey, we got this kid. He you know, he cold on bass.
Okay, all right.
So he started playing with a few bands. You know, he was getting out there, and he started playing with King Curtis and Lionel Hampton. Okay. And these guys were like, you know, we love you. Like, come on the road with us and all that stuff. The thing was, he was still young, but he didn't like being away from home. He didn't want to tour. Okay. He just wanted to,
I
you know.
That,
yeah. So he was like, thanks, but no thanks. But King Curtis, like, he loved him as a bass player so much that King Curtis was like, look, you ain't got to be in my band. He was like, but I need you to be on my records.
Okay, so he started using them in the studio.
Yeah. Okay. But the thing was, like, he was getting beefed out with King Curtis's bass players, because they would go on the road and do these shows, and people would expect Jerry Jemmott, but got whoever the touring bassist was. And sometimes people was getting booed. It was like, where's Jerry Jemmott? And King Curtis would even, like, he would shout out Jerry Jemmott, you know, even though he wasn't there playing. And, you know, the bass players that were playing for him, like, felt the way.
So he couldn't, like, get no bass players that could hold Jerry's spot down?
I mean, of course they held it down, but, you know, the people, like, we let's say, you know, we like a bass player, we expect to see them touring with whoever they recorded with, and they not there, and it's like, okay, this guy is good or this girl is good, but they're not them. You know, it's just, you know.
Yeah, okay.
So, he was like, it was causing, like, beef. Like, he was just like, you know, but King Curtis was like, yeah, you about to be my bass player. And Jerry Jemmott, he worked with him up until the time that King Curtis was killed. So, he had a lot of loyalty to him because that's what helped him get his name out there and for people to know about him. And he was saying like the 60s was one of the best time to be a session musician, especially in New York. It was like endless studios. You could go anywhere and get work if you were good enough. Just walk out one
studio and go in another.
Mm-hmm. And back then too, it was about who you knew and who knew you.
Okay.
And he was like, the thing about being a session bassist in New York, it was kind of like you could be a really good bass player. You could, do all these amazing things. But if you went on no records, it didn't matter. He was like, nobody knew you unless you was getting credits. I was like, man, that's crazy.
Wow.
Like, so I'm sure it was a lot of cats, that was
sweet,
probably
but nobody
sweet, but
get no recognition because you ain't on nobody cut.
Yeah. So it made me think, like, in today's age, I kind of feel like it's not about if you're on a recording anymore. It's kind of like what your socials look like. What content do you have? People still ask, like, oh, who you play for or what, but it's like what your socials look like.
Okay.
And I'm like, we've shifted so much.
So back in the day, it used to be like who you play, who's your credit on, who you credited playing with. Then it got to a point where you saying, it was like who you playing for. That used to be the thing,
right? Who you play for, right? Or where you play at,
So now it's not even. Now people don't even care who you play for. Now
it's all about content.
It's about that content.
It's been weird revolutions and evolutions in music,
some cats, they just play chops on Instagram and they get gigs out of it. They get like straight up full-time tours.
Yep.
Just doing chops on
Instagram. Because that's where it is, And it used to be a thing. We've heard musicians, bass players say all the time, the way to keep a job and to do anything is to, have a pocket. Don't overplay. Just play the song, But then, like you said, we are at a day and age where people are chopping all over the place. And just
what they say now, you got to do more than play bass.
Yeah.
If you want to be out there, you got to play key bass.
You got to play key bass.
You got to at least do both. If you're gonna be out there doing nothing, you got to at least be able to play bass and key bass.
Yep. At bare minimum.
At bare minimum.
Yeah.
Because other than that, you got to be a producer. You got to know how to do all that. And if you want to be out here bass playing, you got to be able to be enough to be an MD.
Yeah, true, very true. And then two, it's not just about having a pocket no more. It's not just about playing the song. I'm not gonna say anymore. It really is genre specific, but like in the realm of like R&B and even hip hop, even some jazz, fusion, some stuff. The live arrangements are so choppy, and even though they're playing over stems and whatnot, you still gotta have those fills. Yeah. And it's like it's just chops. It could be overwhelming sometimes. Yeah. And I'm like, man, where are we going with the music? That's just my opinion. Some people love it. It's cool for what it is, but that's not what I want all the time. Yeah. But when you hear some of the greats just saying like, you just gotta play the song. You play the song, you keep a pocket, you'll always have a gig. And I'm like, that the way that stuff changes is just so drastic. Yeah. You're right. Am I wrong?
Right.
Like,
no,
is it just me?
Right. No, you're
okay.
Right. You're absolutely right.
But
you are absolutely right.
Yeah. So sometimes it's like, man, I just wonder how it would be back in those days just to be able to just play music. Man. Not all this other stuff. You ain't got to upload content all the time and do all this X, Y, and Z extra stuff. You just played the music.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's in a different direction.
For sure. And so, he was getting work. He was just going to work. Everybody's like, Jerry Jemmott, we need Jerry Jemmott. And so his first electric bass, and I never heard of this bass until now, and I had to look it up because I'm like, what is this thing? But it was a Zemgar bass. You heard of Zemgar?
Zemgar.
Yeah.
No, I never heard of
that. It wasn't nothing special, it was cool.
Okay.
But then he traded that for a Fender Jazz. And then because he realized, okay, this is the bass that everybody's using right now, either a jazz or a P bass.
So you figure what the modern Fender bass now is the bass mod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what it seemed like. But he was doing a session. I forgot he was doing a session for somebody. And he left the studio. He went to go get something to eat. And he left his bass in the control room. And so when he came back, his bass was gone. Somebody stole it.
The Fender?
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
So they still had to finish the session. He did not have another bass. It ain't like, because he traded the Zemgar for the Fender. So he didn't have another bass. So they had to rent a bass for him to finish the gig. So they couldn't find a jazz bass to rent. So he ended up getting a P bass. And so they were impressed because they were like, man, he had the same sound even with the P bass. He made it sound like a jazz.
Okay.
And so, they was like, all right, cool. Like you can pull this off. And so they was really like, okay, Jerry Jemmott.
Like, yeah, you don't even need a bass. He can still pull it off.
Yeah. And so Jerry was like, he was kind of off into playing in Broadway, like in musicals and stuff. And so he was over in Amsterdam playing in Ain't Misbehaving. Okay. And he was playing upright in that show. And somebody was at the show and they were like, man, you really need to meet Jocko. It's like, he's a fan. Is it okay for me to give you his number? Okay. He was like, cool, whatever. And so when he got back home, Jocko actually called him and they met up in New York and we've all seen the videos. But it was pretty cool because Jocko had did an interview in a magazine and, he was like, I'm just a poor imitation of Gerald Jemmott. He called him by his government. He's like Gerald Jemmott. Like, so, he gave much credit to Jerry Jemmott, for being an influence on him. Yeah. And I thought that was just really cool that, they got to link up and play with each other and share knowledge and information. Yes. I'm like, man, how does that feel to know that one of the greatest bass players of our time looked up to you as one of his favorite bass players? I'm sure that's an incredible feeling. Yeah.
It gotta be. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, and so Jerry's resume is like stupidly long. He's
what he got?
So he was like the first record he seen his name on was Aretha Franklin. Wow. He played on 4 of her first 4 records.
Okay.
It was Aretha Now. Album? Yep, Aretha Now, Soul 69, The Girl's in Love with You, Hey Now Hey. He played on her first 4 albums.
Okay. I'm listening now because I need to know how many songs I need to go back and listen to.
He played on Think. He played on Say a Little Prayer for You. Like, and then when you go back and listen to him, you go like, okay, all right, Jerry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, but the thing that people know Jerry Jemmott for, and when you say Jerry Jemmott, a lot of people think of this artist in this song, B.B. King. The Thrill Is Gone.
Yo.
He played for B.B. King for years.
Whoa.
Yep. And The Thrill Is Gone. My grandma loves B.B. King.
Wow.
And as a child, I had to listen to that song on repeat. And I do credit The Thrill Is Gone as one of the first songs that I heard as a child that drew me to bass guitar.
Man, I'm going to have to listen to that song. I haven't heard that song in like forever.
Listen to it with Jerry Jemmott ears. Like, you're going to be like, man. And blues is simple. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but still.
And blues is such a
I want to hear how he articulated.
In such a pocket. But, oh, my gosh. He played that song.
I want to hear how he
articulated. Yeah. So go back and listen to that. Okay. But that's really what a lot of people know him for is, playing for B.B. King and Aretha Franklin. But he also played with George Benson, Wilson Pickett, Gil Scott-Heron, a whole bunch of people. His resume is ridiculously long.
Like I might have heard more of that type of sounds with him on it than the other ones.
And then the thing that I like about Jerry, like he is an amazing storyteller. Like I could listen to him like share his stories from all the years he was playing because it's just. First of all, he's from New York. He's a true New Yorker. And I'll just be like, man, this guy, I could just listen to him talk all day. But he's been in a lot of different spaces. He played with so many different people. And I just love hearing those type of stories, but he's one of the GOATs for real. And I feel like Jerry Jemmott don't get enough credit for being like one of the most amazing bass players of our time. Man. So, of course, he had the 69 Fender Jazz, and then he played a 85 ESP. Okay. It was a Horizon, but it was a prototype. Okay. And then a Brubaker. Jubilee.
Okay, Brubaker. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and he has. I was watching a video. He was showing all his different bases and stuff. But he's a fan for taking the finish off of bases. He just he just loves that flat.
I like that. I like that too.
Just the wood. I don't need nothing else. Just take the finish off.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, you take the finish off. Take the finish off your fender.
I might take the finish off the 6.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So I was like, man, and a lot of people credit Jerry Jemmott as being, a lot of bass players credit Jerry Jemmott as being their most influential bass player. You always hear the Jamersons, you always hear, the Jockos and the Rainies and, but you hear the Jemmotts.
I think like comparable for us, our Jerry Jemmott would be Brown.
Rich Brown?
Mm-hmm.
As influential?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe.
I mean,
I don't know how much.
I wouldn't say that for me personally. Like, but anyhow.
And then just continue. Yes.
It just kind of lost me with that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, just wanted to give Jerry Jemmott his flowers a little bit and put a shine on these two bass players who, their names are known, but they don't ring out as nearly as much as they should. Yeah. They should.
Nate Phillips and Jerry Jemmott.
Yep. So, Nate Phillips, Jerry Jemmott, we give you a big Bass for the Culture salute. And it's not enough, just their stories are incredible. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a ton more information that needs to be shared about both of these guys. But the little bit of information that is out there, I just think they both have incredible stories, and they're definitely names that you should know as a bass player.
Yes. And we look forward to, after anybody hear this episode, we look forward to hearing and seeing more information and music about it.
Yeah, because I love when people listen to our episodes and then they hit us with more information that we didn't know. Like, I love that because we don't know everything. So it's like, we just talk about the bass players that we like, what little, information we could find out about them. And you guys, if you have other information to add, yes, please hit us up. DM on Instagram, YouTube, shoot it to us. Bassfortheculture@gmail.com. Yeah. So yeah, we love it.
Yes.
All right, so that's going to do it for both of our basses, Jerry Jemmott and Nate Phillips on bass. Yay. All right, so let's get into our segments a little bit here.
All right, we got 2. Which one you want to do first? We got play, pass, cover, and we got no synth.
All right, so what you got?
All right, which one you want to do first?
Let's do play, pass, cover.
All right, so let's see. All right, so for play, pass, cover, I just randomly pick some songs, and of course we pick a song that we will play, we pick a song that we will pass, and we pick a song that we will cover. And I'm just throw this kind of like how I got this idea. It's a podcast I listen to called Everyday Driver, and they do this thing with the cars is daily crush or track, and that's kind of where I got the idea of play, pass, and cover from. Just kind of throw that. They pick 3 cars, and you got to pick a car you would daily, pick a car you would track, and pick a car you would crush. So I kind of just took that same concept for play, pass, and cover. So the random songs I picked for this episode is Just a Touch of Love by Slave, You Got the Love by Rufus, and Funny Bone by Chic.
Oh.
I decided I was going to cover Funny Bone. I decided I would like to play Just a Touch of Love, and as much as I like the song, I'll just pass You Got the Love from Rufus.
Well, I don't even need to say mine. They the exact same. Like, because Just a Touch, that'd be so fun, and people love that song. Yeah, people love Just a Touch of Love, so that's fun to play.
Yes.
You Got the Love is cool. Shaka be singing, Rufus be playing, but it's just not something
So I pass it, but not because I don't like the song.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but definitely cover Funny Bone. Okay. That's a nice little laid back groove.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Okay. We got them all 3. We never get all 3.
I think this is second time we got them all 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it before.
Oh.
Maybe once or twice.
I think it was once. All right. So what you got for no synth?
All right. Well, so for no synth, this song came about. We was at work one day, and a coworker had brought their radio that they got for Christmas. They got one of them boom boxes,
Them bum boxes.
Yeah, that you could Bluetooth your phone to.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to play their radio for everybody at work. You know, I forgot.
Look what I got.
Yeah, you know. And so they playing the song, and another coworker was like, had a request. And so he played the request, and all to my ears, I hear Electric Avenue.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm listening to this song, and I'm listening to this crazy synth bass on this song, and I'm like, yes. And I was like, I'm going to use this song on our podcast, y'all.
That's what you
I
said.
said, I'm going to use this song, Electric Avenue. Eddie Grant, that's the song we picked for no bass. So who you got on bass?
I picked, first of all, I'm not really a fan of the song. And I picked this bass player based on if there was like an updated version of the song. And, you know, I would make it a little bit more funky and soulful. It wouldn't be how it was. And I put Addie Oasis on bass because she's just really funky. And I feel like she would do like an updated version of the song justice. So she was the first one that came to mind, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, I had to go. I'm going to go Rhonda Smith.
Oh, God. I really thought you were about to say, before you said girl, I thought you were about to say my go-to. And I was like, no,
I didn't go Dyson. I went to my other go-to, Rhonda Smith.
I'm going to need you to get some more bass players, though, because...
Man, Rhonda would tear this song up.
Absolutely she would.
She would tear this song up.
Absolutely she would.
So, yeah.
Okay. But I'm not a fan of that song at all.
Nah, that's why I thought it was funny. Electric Avenue. Sorry for all the people that think that's a great song.
People think that's a great song?
Yes, people out here love that song. It was a request. My coworker requested
obviously.
that song.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I came, like, because it'd be like some little quizzes online, you know, about bass guitars and things of that nature. And I'd be like, I guess I really just don't, outside of our realm of bass, it's like a lot I really don't know. And so I'll just be looking at, you know, these little quizzes and stuff and seeing what I do know and what I don't know. So, if we got a few minutes, I just wanted to go through some of these questions that they were asking. Okay. All right, so we're gonna play together.
All right.
Okay. So, what band or musician was the first to use a fretless bass guitar? And it's multiple choice. So I'm gonna read the.
Okay.
It's Jocko, Jack Bruce, Bill Wyman, Andy Frazier. I think it's Jack Bruce.
I mean, okay, so I'm not going to try to answer these questions correct. I'm going to just answer these questions by my answers, and my answer would be Jocko.
All right, let's see. I'm going to pick, okay, stop. Don't do that. Yes, I want to do it. Sorry, it's being weird. Okay, here we go. So I said Jack Bruce. You say Jocko. Let's see. It is... Oh, we was both wrong. Bill Wyman.
I'm pretty sure.
But you're just going to say Jocko anyway?
I told you. I'm giving my answer.
Oh, this is easy. For what record label did James Jamerson play? Motown. What up, though?
Yeah.
I was like, no brainer.
That would have been my answer, anyway.
All right. Which of the following basses can play the fastest, per time?
Okay.
Victor Wooten, Chris Wolstenholme, we don't know him. Flea or Billy Sheehan?
Billy be flying.
I think it's Billy also.
Yeah. But my answer be Victor.
It's Billy.
I know it's Billy.
So my answer is Victor.
Now Billy is cold. The one thing I didn't like about a lot of stuff that Billy played on, because if I'm correct, I think Billy was playing through like a distortion pedal, and I didn't like his sound.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Which company?
Great bass player. All right,
which company made the first production fretless? Fender, Ampeg, Alembic, Dance Electro. Dan Electro. What's that?
That's a company.
I think it's Ampeg.
No, Ampeg is not it. If it's not Fender, it's Alembic.
Okay, which one you going with?
Alembic.
I'm going Ampeg. Let's see. Ampeg.
Ampeg?
Yep.
Boom.
I remember reading that somewhere.
Ampeg. I never liked Ampeg.
And you was like, no, it's not Ampeg.
No, it's not. It cannot be Ampeg.
I'm not going to get this. Which of the following basses has Jack Bruce not used professionally? a Fender 6, a Gibson EB0, a Warwick Thumb, or a Dane Electro Longhorn?
Fender 6.
I'm going to go with, because I don't know. I'm going to go with the Gibson. Let's see. It was Gibson.
You just getting all the right answers.
I guess that one. All right.
So y'all see who got the knowledge.
All right. So a thumb is used to hit the string, producing a percussive thump-like note.
Slap. Yeah.
Coupled with that is a pulling action that makes a tight, twangy ring. This is so corny. This technique was invented by Stanley Clark, Flea, Larry Graham, John Entwistle. Graham. It's Larry Graham.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's Larry Graham.
Yeah, I mean, I was confused.
Why were you confused? It's
like
multiple choice.
I know, but why would they put other names? We know it's Larry Graham.
But maybe everybody don't know. Who played bass for Elvis Presley? Jerry Jemmott, Scotty Moore, Duck Dunn, Bill Black.
Duck Dunn.
Duck Dunn? That sounds right, but I'm going to go with Bill Black. Bill Black.
I knew you was going to get it right, man. All your guess answers be right.
I be thinking like logically, like what makes the most sense.
Yeah. And I just be picking what I want.
What bass did the song "My Generation" by The Who contains? And who was the bass player? Oh gosh, I don't know this. Jack Bruce, a Gibson EB3, John Entwistle, a Dane Electro Longhorn, Paul Chambers, Dane Electric Longhorn, John Entwistle, Fender Jazz. My Generation by The Who.
I don't know.
I think it's John. I don't know which bass. I'm going to say the Longhorn bass.
I'll go with that because you always right.
I was right. No. Oh, I got it wrong. It was John, but it was a Fender Jazz.
Oh.
Goodness gracious. Oh. I knew he played with The Who. I just didn't know what bass.
It was probably the one we seen at the museum.
Could be. Yep. At the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yep.
This bassist has a unique style based on alternate tunings and accurate technique.
Anthony Jackson.
All played on his custom Zahn hyper bass.
Oh, Zahn.
I don't know any of these people.
I know.
Carlos D.
No.
Chris Squire. I know Chris Squire. Michael Mannering or Peanut.
Michael Mannering.
Yep. I'm going because I have no clue. Yes, that is correct. Look at you.
I remember him from Zahn Basses.
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I got one right that I actually knew. Besides the other couple,
we still failed. We got a 44%.
So you know me.
That quiz is not for the culture, though.
Yeah, you know me. Let's make our own questions for our own quiz. Let's do that one episode.
We can do that.
We'll do a quiz for the for our listeners.
We're gonna have to quiz each other because our listeners can't answer.
No, we do the quiz for our listeners. Like we do the quiz and post them on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, we could do a poll.
Like a question.
We'll do a poll. Yeah. All right, that's what's up. That'd be fun.
Okay.
But yeah, because some of them questions.
So I'll come up with some polls and questions.
Okay, that's what's up. We could do that.
Okay.
All right, so that's actually gonna do it for this episode. You got anything before we get out of here?
Nope.
All right. Well, once again, please do us a favor.
Yeah.
Like, rate, subscribe, share.
Listen, once you're done listening to this podcast, before you do anything else, just think of one person that means a lot to you that you just got to share this episode with, and share it with them, and then tell them to do the same thing. All right? Do that.
Okay, tell a neighbor. Hit us up on neighbor. It was a joke. Hit us up on Instagram.
Tell somebody you know got a big mouth.
Hit us up on Instagram in our DMs. Say what's up. You can email us at bassfortheculture@gmail.com. And we be on Facebook sometimes and on TikTok sometimes. Yeah, but shoot us a message. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us what we can do better or different. And yeah, I ain't even gonna hold you. This year has been off to a struggle start between deaths and illnesses and all this other circumstances of life, it's like it'd be a struggle. It's a struggle to get these episodes in, but like we love it. We gonna keep at it, and it's just what it is. Hang in there with us. And if you like the show and you miss us when we don't do an episode, thank you for missing us. We appreciate it. All right, but we still here. We hanging in, and we're gonna keep giving y'all new episodes. We want to keep going up with the show and keep evolving. So thank y'all for being so patient with us and rocking with us right here on Bass for the Culture. And until next time, peace.